welcome back. The show is still Morning Ride on NTA2. Right now, we will be still looking at Nigeria's 26 years of democratic rule. We want to take a look at what democracy means for our democratic development as governance by the people translated onto growth for the people. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu reaffirmed his administration's commitment to economic reforms, infrastructure revitalizations, and a renewed hope agenda. He acknowledged the challenges of inflation, subsidy removal, and job creation, but insisted that the sacrifices of today are paving the way for a more resilient tomorrow. Today, we will take a look at Nigeria's democratic years, analyzing the economic footprints, the laws of recessions, and the struggles of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. What progress have we truly made? What lessons has democracy taught us about economic management? And where does this road lead us? We have a guest that, well, is an authority in economic matters. So we won't unfold him yet. Let's see what his profile frame looks like. All right, welcome back. Well, we're just, talking behind the cameras about the profile of our guests. And when you see, when you see a big, small man, let me just simply say that we have a chartered accountant that is also a finance and tax professional in the studio. He is Olusesan Okunade. He's been here a couple of times to come discuss economic matters. Good morning. Good to have you on the show.
Yeah, good morning, Yika Kenny. Good morning, IT. Just wondering when I was rolling through the profile, if actually that's myself.
That's what it does.
I'm sure people were looking at why we're laughing when IT said you play Big Man game. No, it's not a Big Man game. It's just a game where we'll try to test your person as an individual, but that's the only game that exposes you.
Have you seen one small man play golf?
A lot of people.
Even to buy the kits for golf.
Don't mind me,
Golf cup, can you buy it? I mean, it's not for everyone. It's a rich man's game. So welcome, rich man, to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. And good morning to our viewers across the globe.
Yeah.
Glad to be here again. Once Inca calls, I have no option. Cancel all appointments and make sure that I'm here.
Thank you for the honor. All right, we're looking back at the last 26 years. How would you describe Nigeria's economic journey under democratic rule?
Thank you very much. I heard you the other time defining democracy as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And it's a common denominator in all this, talked about the people. I would say, if you look at some of the highlights of what democracy is supposed to provide, talk about the freedom of association, freedom of speech, and the likes, I think we've had a great benefit of it, if you ask me, because during the military regime, it's pretty difficult on our part to say certain things and challenge the government. We cannot even call them. But these days, a lot of things are happening. People go on social media with the advent of social media now. A lot. I'm sure you know what transpired when the last administration was picked up by somebody went on Twitter and you know the story. I don't want to go deeper into that. It's because there was freedom of expression. People can actually objectively criticize the government. There are some they pick to, and there are some they turn their eyes against, and they just. But that freedom of expression is one of the key things I will always say democracy has actually offered us. And when you look right from 1999 till date, different administrations, they've come and they actually do their best. If you permit me, let me just highlight maybe one or two that different administration. Obasanjo came in 1999. One of the focal area was to actually have debt forgiveness. I'm sure you know Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, worked with him at that point in time to make sure that most of our debts that were incurred were forgiven, and we started on the very zero level, which was a kudos. During his regime too, what gave birth to the modern technology started during his regime. That was the advent of the Global Service Mobile, GSM, and that transformed and changed the dynamics of things. I know a lot of people might say even the military can try, but at least it took the will of a democratic leader to bring that to bear. And at that point in time, like you were saying, that a particular game for the big boy, we saw telephone calls for specific set of people before that advent, which is like you have to go and queue, you have to go and to some people's houses and say when you want to call, please you have to call by this time, and that broke the the jinx where you can now make calls and advance to the level where it even gets circulated that the younger generation, different service provider came with different packages. And I remember the teenagers and the younger ones then advent to these all-night calls, at least to make things happen.
In fact,
so
everyone was guilty of that.
Yeah, so I consider that as one of another dividend during that administration. When you move to Yaradua before it became late, we have the transformation of the power sector, which he invested in. Small dividend at that point in time. Jonathan came, built on some of the success story of Yaradua, his principal, and was able to do his bit too in making sure that, well, the government, the people have the feeling of what governance is all about. And we had the last administration, which is Buhari, and diverse transformation. From Yaradua era, we have this train infrastructure that was built up into the last administration, But you see, in all, people will ask you, Sheson, you've said a lot that has happened, but it has not impacted the common man.
Exactly.
And that's just the basic truth. And the main masquerade behind the scene, which as we progress, we discuss on, is self-centeredness that has engineered corruption. One administration to the other, you ask yourself, the value of money in the hands of individual as against what's to be used for the citizen they claim they are living. We know a lot of people who don't even go to the federal, at the local government level, that they will just assume office as ordinary councillor or chairman of local government, and the transformation that we'll get from them. You ask yourself, all of a sudden, from 1999, poll science has become a course. Everybody wants to, that's political science.
Honestly.
That everybody, and people are saying, I think aside studying political science in school, people need to study, politics as a course. Because that's the main thing. You discover that when you become a politician, within 6 months, you can't compare yourself with a professional that have been on board for 20 years. That has actually put in a lot of expertise into some of these things. And is to unravel that part to say that the selfishness and the greed in every individual which we all call that simple language called corruption, has actually denied a lot of people. People will come up and say, we need a constitution review, we need so much things to happen. I say, even the one we have, if there are implementation of some of these things inside the constitution, the people will definitely be better off for it. And I think that's one of the major challenges that we have as a country in advancing some of the good things. You see, on paper, there are a lot of things that you will hear each administration will bring to bear. But when it comes to implementation, it becomes a problem. And people, I've said it times with that number, implementation is not only about the government, it's about you and I. I heard Yinka Kenny talking about, you know, a law enforcement agency, you know, passing people even when the light is on green, when it should stop and the other person should pass. And you ask yourself, I've seen a lot of time as a road safety special marshal how to pack commercial person, because I know I'm in power, and you see a law enforcement agency in front of the vehicle asking them to follow one way. Is that government? That is people. So until we come to the realization that as people, in as much as government are their force, as people, how much are you doing the right thing in that your small closet, contributing to the bottom line? You see people coming, it's raining season now. The taxpayers' money is what we start using in clearing the drainages, because some people have vowed they will not pay PSP. Rather, they will put some of their debts in the drainage where it will flush and go somewhere and say, it's water that is taking it somewhere. Yes, it's taking it somewhere, but you are blocking certain areas that will definitely impact and impede the growth of certain things. So I would say at this point in time that there has been a series of development with the democratic setting, economic-wise, but there is one focal thing, the area of corruption. When certain things are voted for people to actually be carried out, I will always refer to you. People said, so is it that you have something against this woman personally? The former minister of humanitarian. And I said up till today, a lot of cases are still hanging against several politicians. And what will happen is that we come, we discuss, suggest, and it will go into thin air. Okay. And years to come, you see such person coming back to space and still leading us.
So let me hold your thoughts a bit this morning, since we are looking at the economy, you know, since democracy. The former president came, he did his bit when it came to the debt recovery and everything. But we've seen that over the years, Nigeria has, you know, the administration in and out, we've gone back to, if not more than where we were. And you see debts accumulating here and there. Do you think that, and with the issues of debt servicing and all of that, we see that the present day administration is trying to service, you know, debts here and there. But there's also a clause. The more is servicing, the more
loans we are taking.
We are incurring more debts. Do you think that these debts are sustainable, or what do you think? How could, as an economist, what do you think could have been done better?
Yeah, Yinka, I've said it on different fora to say borrowing is not a crime. Sincerely speaking, if you look at organizations that have actually succeeded today, as a finance person, borrowing, the debt equity contribution is one of the areas where you can grow your businesses. And as a nation, we are not far from it. If you go to United States of America, where we are, they are borrowing. Every country must borrow. There is no country that is running on its own. It's just that the borrowing pattern might differ, but they borrow to actually carry out certain project or the other. I think where we are missing it and getting wrong in the country is that how do we follow through with some of the borrowing? The people borrowing you money are not just giving you that money because you say you need it. There are documentation to justify your borrowing. And they have looked at certain things to see that this loan can be repaid back. So when you get the loan, what are you actually utilizing those loans for? That's one. If you actually use that to carry out, because during the last administration, most of the borrowing was used for infrastructure development. We saw some of it. At least they spoke about the Niger Bridge, spoke about the train at Otakbe, train at Kaduna, Abuja Rail, and the likes. I've asked, what is the maintenance culture of Nigeria to sustain that business beyond? Because in your work plan, you would have said, okay, we are borrowing this money to develop this infrastructure, and this is what we tend to generate from that infrastructure to repay back some of this infrastructure. And that's where we miss it, if you ask me. Remember, because of the level of insecurity, which I consider as another monster that is affecting our economic growth, for over 8 to 9 months, the train station from Abuja to Kaduna was not functioning because of several attacks during the last administration. And I asked myself, there are repayments that were expected to be made based on the revenue generated. Because when you are producing that thing, you are not telling the government that I'm going to take money from another coffer to take care in settling this responsibility. You have actually put it to say, this, I'm using train station as one of the yardsticks to say, this will repay itself within specific period. And 9 months down the drain, insecurity, averted you of carrying out operation on a particular thing. And that's why I would tell the government, I always tell the government that there is one area we need to concentrate on. Aside the corruption, which has actually entered into the marrows of average Nigerian, insecurity is another thing that if it's not properly addressed, we are going nowhere.
So are you saying now that the Nigerian government should prioritize insecurity, prioritize looking at how to curb insecurity as a means for economic transformation? Is that what you're saying?
Very, very fundamental. And I always make this submission years back. So I mean years back. I'm not talking of 10 years. I make most of my journey at night, driving. That I enjoyed so much. I can decide to leave Lagos for Akure because of the nature of my work at 8 p.m. I don't mind. I'll get to Akure around 11, 12, because at that point in time, the weather is cool. You have minimal traffic on the road, and that's when security was still security. Try to do that even during the day. People will ask you, why are you going on a suicide mission? Because they can't guarantee if you not be kidnapped or even be attacked on the road, dislodging you of certain amenities of yours. And that's why I feel government needs to look at security critically. Marching order, it's not enough. A lot of us have said it. You give marching order. We've had it during the last administration. Security meeting with the security chiefs. Several of them were actually changed, thinking that it will bring a different thing into it. And we've not gotten a different result. It's still the same result. I have advocated, even though I am not a security expert, but I've seen it work, to say, because I've traveled, we've seen it in other climes. Can we have this security architecture decentralized to states and local government? Go to US, aside the federal policing, you have the metropolitan policing, you have the other local policing that are actually equipped. Because a lot of these evil perpetrators do not even go to the center of some of those states. We read this morning of an attack in Borno, but I had a friend from a sister station that had a program in Borno a few days ago, and they told me how peaceful it was. At the middle of this critical issue, I was in Kaduna years back, I think 3 or 4 years ago, when they said everywhere is bombing. And you can't move. I moved from, I could not get a direct flight from Lagos to Kaduna, so I flew to Abuja and had to go by road to Kaduna. And everybody was like, why will you do that? We got to Kaduna safely, fine, no attack. But part of the issue there is, even during the day when we got there, I do tell individual, my friend took me out to club. We were outside till around 12. And when I was calling my people, they were like, well, you Kaduna. I said, where we are, I cannot even see anything. A lot of this problem happen at the suburbs, where there is lack of governance. Most of the, go to Borno today, people still transact business there. But it's mostly in the urban area. Go to Jos, where killing is happening. Is there no governor in that state that is actually providing governance in that? There is still budget.
But you still go ahead to hear that several people were killed, not at the center of the whole happening. And that's why people like us will say, people are collecting security votes. Can we decentralize and say, Chief Security Officer of the state, you are responsible for what goes on in your state? One. Then the state governor will be able to decentralize and say, local government chairman, with some of the funds being allocated to you from the center, even though the autonomy signed by the government is yet to be implemented fully, can you look at area of concentration in providing? The local government man is coming to the chiefs and Oba and said, you are the fourth government in conjunction with the CDCs and CDAs. How can you tame? Let me tell you, a lot of people that are staying in private estate today, have you heard of attack in their area? They provide their security. They pay for it. And it's working because they can go to bed with their eyes closed, not relying on government security, but going extra mile in paying for the security to secure themselves. There are some estates you go to, the kind of profiling they will give to you before you even get an apartment in their estate is much enough than you writing for an exam. Because they want to know who you are. And aside that, they do due diligence behind the scene to actually affirm the person you are. That is taking security to the grassroots. So somebody is coming into our environment as a CDA. Do we have the database? I'm just saying, Yinka, moving into this apartment. First and foremost, the landlord that is engaging you, how much questioning? Because what happened is that some of the miscreants leave the city, come and perpetrate their evil there, and go back to the suburb to carry out certain things. When things are not happening, they eat from there. And that's why, for me, I picked up on Mr. President. He's a man I respect so much because of the governance he gave to us in Lagos State while he was governor. The administration then of Big Daddy Obasanjo dealt with him, but he still gave us good governance.
Exactly.
And I was expecting that he will prioritize state policing, because I know it was during his regime. It was during Fashola we have this RRS, and they've been very supportive in supporting the Nigerian police force in what they are doing. We currently have the neighborhood watch. They don't carry gun, but do you know part of the things I keep saying? Why I fought some of the approach of some governors in some states by saying there are repentant bandits or terrorists is to say that those set of people no longer carry arms, but they do something that is deadlier than carrying arms, and that's providing information. If you lack information, it's difficult for you, even with your arms, to perpetrate any evil you want to do. How do you know that somebody of high importance is coming somewhere if you don't have the information that the person is coming? So what they are doing, as far as I'm concerned, when you say you are forgiving some people, people that have killed, people that have been indoctrinated into this act of saying killing is the way to go, now saying he has repented, he's coming and laying down the arms, he still have his umbilical cord connected to those. But what it does is to provide info. And that's why I feel that by the time you take policing down to the grassroots, where the CDA chairman are empowered, so our small closet of about 20, 30 houses, we are providing that security. Is to say that the next building or the next CDA to us is doing same. And when we start from there, it goes so that when an external person comes in a city where they don't, or a small village where everybody plays their phone, on the highway, and you forget it there, and you come back and pick it, and all of a sudden, two strange men enter that same place because they don't know the culture and the attitude or the behavioral pattern of the people there. They saw phone on the road where they are coming from. This iPhone Pro 16, make I take go sell. Definitely the question you will ask is that we have nurtured a lot of people. We have tested our people. Can we call to questioning these strangers that we have seen? With that, if we don't take security to the grassroots, and we continue to say we are now ripe for it, from what my IGP said, at what point we will be ripe for it? But I feel that that is an area we need to concentrate on if there must be meaningful economic development. Because How do you expect me to go and carry out business in where they are bombing, where I can't sleep with my 2 eyes, and you want me to carry my investment, add end money to go and invest there?
Let me cut you short briefly. We are still going to be talking about security and insecurity per se. You've talked about the roads, train transport. I'm coming with the water now, the waterways. You know, the southern part of Nigeria, we have a lot of waters, and the roads are not as good as we have in other parts of Nigeria. So a lot of people try to leave the road transportation and do water transportation. The shortest and the most popular route is Oron waterways to Calabar. Then within the short range of that route, I cannot count the number of kidnaps that have gone through. So there's even insecurity in the waters. The road, you could say, okay, they speed up and meet up. So I don't know what happens in the waters that we cannot at least handle that. I have a friend, a comedian friend that was kidnapped, I think in April. He stayed there for about 2 months. I think it's just last week or 2 weeks ago he was released. This is someone who had a job and just, okay, let me rush into Calabar from Oron, and these things happen. So what do we talk about insecurity in the waterways?
Like I said, insecurity is not peculiar to road. It's from what I said the other time. It's even to where we reside. It's become so difficult that on the road you plow every day, you just hear the information that they kidnapped, and you are like, how did it happen? Let's leave kidnapping. Hoodlums on the road, discharging you of your belongings. Wind down, wind down, wind down, and possibly. And you are afraid. When they open up this thing, whether it's toy gun or it's real gun, you don't even want to know. All you want to do is, I will cooperate and get that done. That's part of it. Because during the days of our forefathers, they closed their eyes. We grew up to know that in Lagos, when you move out around past 12, that's when life starts. It's another segment of life. So, and it cut across all states. And that's why I feel that which you have mentioned, Lagos State government took the responsibility on our Lagos waterways to see how much they can collaborate with the federal waterways in providing security. And we've seen that work. And it speaks to it to say, what is the state government doing in collaboration, knowing that is another means of transportation? I don't like when we put everything on the table of federal government. I'm not an advocate of that. What is the local areas, the local government, the indigene of those two, Oron and Calabar, doing? There are times that we need to stand up for ourselves. People will say, even the people coming to, we need to stand and they say, see, this area is no-go area, because even the people there will not tolerate it. So I want to say that in as much as federal government have their flaws, let state governors, and locals look for a way of collaborating. You can imagine the man that was released. Will anybody try like you? You won't want to dare it. So if you are going for a business appointment that you would have used the waterways that will reduce your cost, you might want to now fly, or you go by road. Rather than you spending 10,000, you are spending about 100,000. Who do you transfer the costs to? Economically, to the consumer. Possibly the people you are going to provide the service for. And that's why we are like, insecurity must be addressed and make sure that we provide that. And you cannot do it only from the central. This is what the IGP is saying we are not right for it. We want a situation where we can hold our Oba, not even Bale, to say, sir, it is your time. This place is becoming ungovernable.
All right,
look at the people at the other side. And once we have the security, the economic development is a walkthrough.
Yeah, honestly, time is not a friend of ours. But finally, in just few sentences, I want to, because I know you are a tax expert, and I know that taxation is one of the ways in which a nation, maybe at the state level, federal level, or whichever level, gets their, income and, their GDP can either rise or go down. So how can we build, and our attitude towards tax in this part of the world. So how can we finally, in few sentences, build a tax compliance culture in Nigeria without, allowing or some sort of stifling the SMEs, you know, and the informal sector. You know, the limited liability companies most of the times can, well, so to speak, quote and unquote, afford, you know, to pay all of this tax. But when you talk about the SMEs, the informal sector, the woman that is just blending pepper by the roadside and all of that, what can we do? How can we make, you know, our environment a more tax compliant culture without stifling all of these small businesses?
Thank you very much.
Just a few sentences.
Thank you very much. Let me give kudos to my friend and brother who marked his 50th birthday not a few days ago, the chairman of the Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform, Taiwo Idele. They've done a brilliant work. A lot of people may not understand the in-depth of what they have actually put together. And it's having, you know, tax reform in a different dynamics. Okay. And having it a leeway to see what benefit it can offer to us. Part of the things that they've brought to bear is the establishment of the, you know, abolishing joint tax board to say we now have Nigerian revenue, because we have situation where there are overlapping revenue from different agencies. And I say, okay, they will be, you know, directorate under the Nigerian Revenue Board, where if you are charging this, it cannot be replicated by another ministry, because all is about revenue. A is asking this one, the same fee is coming in another nomenclature on another name by another agency.
In another English.
Because they are not together. That they are streamlining. And we hope by the time this is assented to by Mr. President and we start the implementation, there will be a walkthrough. At least the good thing that Mr. President has done is to give them the task of implementing. Don't bring those grammar to my table. You will implement it, and I think they are riding on technology. Taiwo Idele and his team have actually given that commitment, and I can allude to that with the Federal Inland Revenue Service, ProMax, in area of collection of taxes. They've streamlined. You don't need to interface with people. If you are supposed to pay certain taxes at specific period and it's not done, definitely you pay your penalty, but you know those things that you have to pay there, and it's not there. And there's going to be a collaboration with the subnationals in some of the things that they are doing. I'm sure you remember when they said they are looking for a way to take out all the non-state actor, engaging them. I know it generated a lot of things then to say, how do you want? So, okay, fine. There are certain things that must be paid. Okay, if you are going to collect this and we legitimized it, this is the channel we are going to collect it. And I believe that...
I think Mr. Susan wants to take the whole program.
No, I will use that to say, let's have confidence in the administration with the new tax policy that is going to be assented to by Mr. President, and in our own small bits. Let's say the best. For SMEs that you are referring to, they are raising payment of taxes from 25 million, exempting them from 25 million to 50 million now. That gives you a lot of liquidity to play around.
Implemented?
When they are sent to it.
Okay.
Once it's assented to, that would definitely be a relief. So if you have a business of 35, 40 million, you are not obliged. You only make your return so that we can be sure that you are not actually changing the government, but you'll be paying this. So even if it is 1 million, you are supposed to pay as taxes. That can be reinvested back into the business for you to grow, and we'll all be better off for it.
Thank you very, very much. Honestly, you know, you will agree with me that our guest is well loaded, and we cannot exhaust the issue of economic development in Nigeria. It's been all about how the economic growth of Nigeria since democratic rule, and our guest on the show this morning has been a chartered accountant, a finance and tax professional, Olusesan Okunade. Thank you for being a guest here this morning.
Thank you, YK and IT, for having me this morning. A beautiful way to start my weekend.
Let's take a breather. When we come back, our next guest will be with us in the studio. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.